Kiara Benson was fastening a white merchandise hold tag beneath the second turquoise scarf box when Russell Dane closed the lid with 2 fingers. "Put those back." Kiara kept one hand beneath the box. Her clienteling tablet showed both scarf numbers, her associate code, and the name, Simone Caldwell. "I'm helping her compare the weave." Russell did not look at Simone. He turned the price card around instead, placing the $1,200 figure toward her side of the glass table. "Did you verify purchase history?" Simone stood across from them in a gray cardigan, dark jeans, and worn leather boots. A narrow silver brooch was pinned above the cardigan's top button. Her leather tote rested against her hip. Kiara glanced at the tablet. "We don't require purchase history for a walk-in consultation." "Normally, no." Russell slid the first scarf box toward the locked cabinet. Simone had brought her mother's old scarf in a cotton pouch inside the tote. Odessa Caldwell had saved for almost a year to buy it after Simone finished law school. The silk had softened at the fold, but the turquoise still held its color. Simone wanted the same shade for her niece's graduation. "I asked to see the border stitching," she said. Russell pressed the cabinet key into the lock. "This floor is designed around established client relationships." Kiara opened a consultation. She opened a product screen. The distinction came quickly. Russell had not needed to check the tablet before making it. Simone looked at the white hold tag beneath the remaining box. "It has my name on it." Russell removed the tag, read it once, then placed it face down beside the price card. "It means an associate pulled merchandise. It doesn't guarantee access to consultation inventory." Kiara shifted the tablet against her palm. "That isn't how we usually—" "Back display," Russell said. "The leather trays need to be counted." Kiara's thumb stayed near the active session. She did not close it. Then she carried the tablet toward the next counter, stopping within sight of the scarf boxes. Russell waited until she moved. "You may be more comfortable browsing the open displays downstairs." "I'm comfortable here. That isn't the issue." "What is the issue?" Russell straightened the price card until its bottom edge matched the seam in the glass. "We've had to use additional discretion with unscheduled floor traffic." Simone had entered through the front door, asked for a specific product, and remained at one table. She looked toward the cabinet key in his hand. "What did I do that requires additional discretion?" Russell did not answer that question. His attention moved to her tote. A voluntary bag review would clear this up. Simone left the tote on her shoulder. "Clear up what?" "It's a routine loss prevention measure." "Based on which action?" Russell adjusted one cuff beneath his charcoal jacket. "The store does not distribute internal criteria." "Then call the person responsible for applying them." He unclipped a radio from his belt. Calvin Rhodes arrived from the staff corridor carrying a black dispatch device. He stopped beside the rug rather than beside Simone. Russell spoke first. "This customer is refusing a routine bag review." Calvin looked at the scarf cabinet, the face-down hold tag, and Simone's tote. "Was there a merchandise alert?" "No." "Did an associate report concealment?" Russell's jaw moved once. "I'm making a floor determination." Calvin tapped the dispatch screen but did not open an incident category. "I need an observed behavior." "You have my instruction." "I heard it." Calvin lowered the device. "I still need a basis before I search her property." A woman near the glove counter folded a receipt and placed it inside her purse. She did not leave. Kiara stood beside the leather trays with the active consultation still glowing on her tablet. Russell returned the radio to his belt. For a moment, he looked at the tote as if the missing reason might be visible through the leather. Then he reached across the glass table. He pulled the strap from Simone's shoulder and turned the bag upside down. A wallet struck the glass first. Then a paperback book, a ring of keys, a tube of lip balm, the cotton scarf pouch, and a small notebook. Nothing carried a Bellwether House label. The silver brooch above Simone's heart caught the cabinet light. She did not grab for the bag. She picked up the cotton pouch and checked the silk inside before touching anything else. "Put my property down," she said. Russell held the empty tote by one strap. "This could have ended quietly if you had cooperated." Simone placed the old turquoise scarf beside the unopened new box. "It was quiet before you arrived." Russell looked at the objects spread across the glass. There was no merchandise to recover, no alarm to explain, no employee statement supporting him. He reached for the radio again. Russell believed he was still following store procedure. That was the dangerous part. Open a removal file. Russell spoke into the radio, while Simone placed the last of her belongings back in order. Calvin Rhodes did not reach for her. What conduct should I enter? Refusal to cooperate. Russell pulled an incident pad from beneath the service counter. A yellow carbon sheet sat behind the first page. He checked the box marked Voluntary Security Review Declined. Then he wrote another line. Customer became physically resistant during removal. Simone could read it from where she stood. No one has attempted a removal, she said. Russell pressed the pen harder. You were directed to leave. You told me to browse downstairs. I'm directing you now. He tore a narrow reference strip from the bottom of the page, but kept it beneath his palm. Simone held both hands beside her coat seams. Am I being refused service? Russell did not mark that box. Your visit is being concluded. At the next display, Helen Parker folded her sales receipt into quarters. She had watched Kiara begin the consultation. She had also watched Russell empty Simone's property across the counter. She was buying something, Helen said. Russell continued writing. This is an internal safety matter. You made it one. Russell looked up. If you interfere, your own appointment can be ended. Helen pressed the folded receipt between two fingers. She stepped back. Not far, but she stopped speaking. Russell pointed toward the main aisle. Walk. Simone stayed beside the service counter. Give me the incident number. You'll receive it after you exit. The number exists now. Russell covered the reference strip with the incident pad. Calvin looked at the line Russell had written. Mr. Dane, she hasn't resisted. She is refusing to move. That isn't physical resistance. Russell set the pen down. Then he took Simone by the upper arm. Calvin pressed the safety audio switch on his shoulder microphone. An orange indicator appeared beneath the speaker grill. Floor audio active, a recorded voice said. Russell's fingers remained on Simone's sleeve. Remove your hand, she said. He began pulling her toward the aisle. Simone did not pull back. She shortened her steps so she would not be dragged off balance. Your hand is on my arm, she said. I have not touched you. Kiara stood behind the service register. Russell had told her to end the earlier transaction, but the register now displayed a different screen. Staff assistance requested. She had pressed the red key beneath the cash drawer. A timestamp appeared. Helen unfolded her receipt and walked to the customer care kiosk. A clear holder contained blank witness cards. I need one of those. The associate behind the kiosk looked toward Russell. Helen took a card herself. She wrote her full name, telephone number, and the sentence she had been afraid to repeat aloud. The customer did not touch the manager. Russell saw her writing. This is being handled. Helen placed the card beneath the kiosk clip. Now it has a witness. Russell released Simone's arm. A red mark showed through the gray sleeve near the seam. Simone asked Calvin to contact someone above floor management. Russell stepped between them. You came in here looking for a confrontation. I came to purchase a gift. You came dressed like that and expected private service. The sentence stayed between them. Calvin's orange indicator remained on. Simone turned toward him. Please record that statement. Russell's hand moved before Calvin answered. His palm struck Simone's cheek. The service register produced a short confirmation tone. Kiara's assistance request had been accepted. Calvin moved between them and directed Russell behind the counter. Simone touched neither Russell nor her face. Add the physical contact to the file, she said. Do not replace the first entry. Russell reached for the incident pad. Calvin took it first. 2 days later, a transfer docket lay open in a conference room at East Bridge Retail Group. Every unresolved assault, detention, and discrimination case had to be reviewed before system control passed to Northlight Holdings. Marissa Kent read the complainant's name. Simone Caldwell. Ethan Locke checked the acquisition roster. Incoming chair and chief executive. Russell looked toward Douglas Vane. Marissa placed the title page beneath the yellow carbon copy. Identity confirmed. Finding standard unchanged. She aligned Russell's handwritten entry with the safety audio activation, Helen's witness card, and the staff assistant's timestamp. One line on Russell's incident page described something that had not happened yet. Did you notice which one? Part 3. A blue review folder sat beneath the wall screen. Douglas Vane placed his palm over it before Marissa Kent could turn the cover. The older complaints are held by customer relations, he said. They'll need time to retrieve them. How much time? 10 business days. Possibly more. Marissa looked at the archive index displayed above him. 15 case numbers appeared beneath Russell Dane's employee profile. Each carried the same routing destination. Regional Operations Review. Douglas's department. The material is already indexed, Marissa said. The index is not the underlying file. Who receives the retrieval request? Douglas named an off-site administrator who had left Eastbridge Retail Group 7 months earlier. Ethan Locke checked the employee directory on his laptop. That mailbox is inactive. Douglas lifted a paper cup but did not drink. Then we should pause this portion until a replacement contact is confirmed. It sounded responsible. No refusal. No raised voice. Just another name to locate. Another cue to enter. Another week in which the complaint remained unresolved. Simone Caldwell sat 3 chairs from the end of the table. A narrow adhesive strip covered the mark near her cheekbone. She did not remind Douglas who would control the company by the end of the day. Review the customer contact first, she said. Leave my title outside the finding. Marissa opened the folder. The first archive case involved a black teenager followed from cosmetics to jewelry. Russell had removed a bracelet from her wrist, even though the receipt was inside her coat pocket. The second involved a Latino couple asked to produce identification before leaving a department where they had purchased nothing. The third involved a black woman redirected to a public entrance after arriving for a scheduled styling appointment. Each customer had submitted a complaint. Each file had been sent upward. Each had returned to store management marked additional customer statement required. Russell had supplied the store response himself. When the customers did not submit the same information a second time, the cases were closed. Douglas set down the cup. We handled each matter based on the documentation available. Marissa removed a routing printout from the folder. You required the customers to repeat themselves while allowing the manager they accused to answer once. Douglas did not touch the printout. That was the workflow. It was your workflow. Helen Parker had submitted one statement. Kiara Benson had submitted another. Calvin Rhodes had provided a separate account from the sales floor. The current case had not disappeared because 3 people had stayed long enough to make disappearance difficult. Marissa turned toward Russell. His finding was read without ceremony. Selective denial of service. Unauthorized handling of customer property. Non-consensual physical removal. Assault. False incident characterization. Russell's management access ended before the meeting closed. His store credentials were disabled. He was barred from supervisory, security, or customer conduct roles anywhere within the Bellwether House system. The physical assault file was transferred to outside counsel and the appropriate local authority. Northlight would not negotiate that portion through an internal settlement. Russell asked whether his years of service would be considered. Marissa looked at the 15 archived case numbers. They were. A facilities employee collected his office key and company phone in a gray property pouch. Russell left through the employee corridor, not the sales floor. No customers watched him go. Douglas's decision came next. He was terminated for failure to preserve complaint independence, repeated return of discrimination complaints to the accused manager's reporting chain, and certification of case closures he had not independently reviewed. A deferred performance award tied to his annual compliance certification was canceled under its conduct clause. He asked whether the board could postpone the decision until the archive review was complete. Marissa closed the blue folder. The archive review is the reason for the decision. The 15 cases were transferred to an outside investigator. Former customers would be contacted directly. None would be asked to reconstruct a complaint the company had already received. The teenager's store exclusion notice was canceled. The Latino couple's security notation was deleted. The woman with the styling appointment received reimbursement for the service she had been denied, along with written confirmation that the old record would not appear in any future client profile. Kiara received protection against schedule changes connected to her statement. She was assigned to the team redesigning client service controls after a formal review of her work. Calvin's refusal to conduct an unsupported search was entered as correct performance. He would help build a training module, allowing security staff to reject instructions that lacked an observable basis. Northlight issued Customer Contact Standard 4.2. A loss prevention interaction now required a recorded behavior category. A floor manager could not order and conduct the same search. Physical removal required confirmation from a second authorized employee unless an immediate danger existed. Complaints involving race, detention, or physical contact bypassed local management. No person named in a complaint or directly responsible for that person's evaluation could route, delay, or close the file. Pending sales sessions could not be deleted after an incident. 6 months later, sunlight crossed the fitting gallery at Bellwether House. Kiara stood beside a grandmother and a girl with pink berets. She unfolded a length of turquoise silk near the window and showed them how the border changed color when the fabric turned. No employee asked for purchase history. No one repositioned himself near the exit. Simone watched from the upper landing. She did not enter the consultation. The girl ran one finger along the stitching, while her grandmother compared 2 shades. For the first time, the silk was only merchandise, and the woman touching it was only a customer. Leave once the insult is no longer happening to you, or stay long enough to put your name beside what you witnessed. Which would you choose? This story is fictional.